Thanks for checking out the Locked On NFL podcast on YouTube. Hit subscribe. Of course, set yourself up for alerts. You're going to want to do it all off season long. If you like the Locked On NFL podcast during the regular season, you're going to love it even more during the off season. The daily content continues. But with the thrill of victory, there's the agony of defeat. The Cincinnati Bengals fall to the Los Angeles Rams 23-20, Super Bowl 56. We're talking to Jake Liscow. He's provided incredible coverage all season long for Locked On Bengals. And Jake, just your initial thoughts on how the Bengals performed today. Sure, they came up on the losing end, but just breaking down the entire performance by Cincinnati. First Super Bowl since 1988.
I think a lot of credit to the defense. Obviously, they didn't quite make enough plays there at the end of the game, is what they would tell you. I think a lot of fans would tell you that a third and goal holding call, the way the game was officiated, could be a topic of conversation. But a lot of credit to the defense. I think, credit the offense for making plays when they could. And then, the Rams pass rush was overwhelming for the last, 27 minutes of the game or so. I would say that the Bengals just couldn't run offense in the second half of this game. Everything's out quick. The running game was okay, but they were in some pretty bad spots from a field position perspective. I think that both coaches were comfortable playing the field position game, and Sean McVay's offense made one more play. And there's some questions down the stretch for sure from a play calling perspective, from a personnel perspective, from an officiating perspective. But the reality is, to me, from a Bengals perspective, they had a lot of opportunities to ice this game. They were up 20-16 for at least 4 possessions. I want to say you get points on any of those, we could be telling a very different story. Instead, the Bengals dropped to 0-3 in Super Bowls, and that's a tough pill to swallow for Bengals fans.
I mean, they get the non-call. Obviously, the face mask. T. Higgins is able to.
So I've heard. I didn't see it at all in the stadium. They did not show that replay where I was sitting.
Jake Liscow was in attendance at SoFi as far as this game went. So as far as the things that some of us got to see and were privy to on the telecast, Jake is talking to us immediately after this game. So going in blind a little bit, but he was absolutely there. We talked about this ad nauseum at times leading up to this. Of course, there was the performance where the Tennessee Titans sacked Joe Burrow 9 times, and then he only gets sacked, once in the AFC Championship game by the Kansas City Chiefs. What were the Rams able to do to get back to pressuring Burrow at the quarterback position?
I mean, he couldn't finish a 3-step drop at times, I think. Again, you mentioned I was at the game, so kind of hard to tell, but felt like Aaron Donald took over a little bit. It felt like they might have run some successful stunts. It was again, hard to tell. But I think Burrow took some sacks he probably shouldn't have taken. Maybe they were on some longer developing plays, but I would like to see him know when to get rid of the football. It's a fine line that he walks. He does create a lot. The T. Higgins touchdown comes on a play that he extends a little bit. He steps up in the pocket and makes a good throw. And he's made a lot of great plays that way, where he's extended plays, gotten out of the pocket, found guys, creating outside of structure. And you don't want to take that away. At the same time, it's a learning process, right? There are some sacks that he's taken this year that he probably shouldn't have taken. I think there were a couple of those in this game as well. But, some shared blame between the offensive line, some coverage sacks, and just it was relentless, man. They show the next gen stats on the big screen at SoFi. It was pretty reasonable in the first half from a Bengals perspective, and by the end of the game, it was over 40% was the pressure number. So whatever the Rams did in the second half just killed the Bengals' ability to run offense. They just couldn't do what they wanted to do.
The final offensive series for the Cincinnati Bengals, were you surprised on the play calls on the final 2 plays? 3rd and 1, you get P. Ryan, a play up the middle, right into the teeth of that defense, again, right into number 99, Aaron Donald, who had taken over at that point. And then there's that man again, Aaron Donald, Joe Burrow out of the shotgun on 4th and 1 with a timeout left, over 40 seconds left. Is it fair to maybe question what was going on as far as the calls there?
I'm not exactly sure what the call was on the 4th down. I haven't had a chance to watch that play again. And I'm honestly totally fine with a 3rd down running call. You point out, though, that Samaje Perine was on the field. He was on the field for that entire drive. So he was out there for pass protection purposes. Zach Taylor said after the game, they thought that they were getting a little soft up front. They thought they could sneak off a quick 1st down and then take some shots. And Obviously, they didn't quite get it. And, I understand the process there from a coaching perspective on the third down play call because the Bengals were running the ball pretty well. There weren't a ton of runs that went for zero or negative yardage for the Bengals in this game, but that was a bad spot, obviously, to get stuffed and running behind the disadvantageous matchup. Probably fair to question that one without your ideal personnel on the field. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, you get a creative, they go to Cooper Cup when they need a yard
Mm-hmm.
because the Rams couldn't run the ball in this game either. The Rams running game was atrocious, and every first down they ran the ball felt like they were wasting a down. And Sean McVay gets in his bag a little bit there, gets a conversion, and these little things are the margin of victory in the game.
Is this Cincinnati Bengals team going to be a force to be reckoned with going forward? Is this just the start of something, in your opinion?
It depends entirely on the front office. I think they have a really good core. The defense is under contract for some time. I think they need another corner because Eli Apple, I think, is rightfully getting roasted a little bit by some of his NFL peers who he went after on Twitter after a few playoff wins. And that's kind of the nature of the cornerback position. But, I would, if I'm the Bengals, be looking for another corner to go with Chidobe Awuzie and Mike Hilton, who I think are really good. I'd be looking for another pass rusher on the defensive side of the ball. And just very, very clearly, you need at least 2 offensive linemen, if not 3.
James Rapine, Jake Liscow, they're going to keep you dialed in all off season long. It doesn't end after the Super Bowl. It's just getting started here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Jake, I know it's tough. It's, following a loss, but congratulations on a very successful season and look forward to talking to you off season, my man.
Been great for the podcast. Appreciate everybody that's been listening to us, man. It's been a lot of fun to cover. Radio Row Week was great. So I hope everybody did enjoy that coverage. And like you said, Bo, we got a lot of fun stuff. The offseason, the gap between the last game and the offseason for Bengals fans, anyway, much shorter than we're used to.